Several years ago, I wrote down on a sticky, I wanted to retire at 50. 3 years later, guys, we're starting to get ready and get on track to actually retire at 50. But it seems like there's going to be a couple things we really need to do to prepare for this, and things you have to realize if you are looking for retirement, if you're looking at retirement and also retiring early. So in this video, we're going to be going over a couple things to consider, and even some of the things that I really didn't consider when I'm thinking about retirement. That is going to be if I'm retiring at 50 or if I am not. Now, the average American retires at 63 to 65, which is incredible, guys. It's at the point of getting Social Security, but also at the point where if you haven't saved a considerable amount of money or paid off an incredible amount of debt, you're going to be very strapped when it comes to your retirement years. Now, this, of course, can be really offset by saving in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. The earlier that you do start saving, the better you're going to perform and the more money you're going to have when it does come to that retirement time. Now, the first thing to consider is what type of retirement do you really want? Are you going to have a lavish retirement? Are you going to be traveling? What is your expenditures going to be looking like on a monthly basis, especially again, if you're looking to retire early? So for a lavish lifestyle, they say to have 100% of your income available during retirement. So if you're making $50,000, that means you have to find a way to supplement that $50,000 in retirement. And if you're not getting Social Security, if you're drawing out investment accounts, there could be a lot of penalties because you're not 59 and a half and you're not old enough technically to draw out of those retirement accounts. Now, if you're looking for more of a modest retirement, they say replacing about 60% of your income. Now, again, I'm looking at dividend portfolios. I am looking at possible CDs, high yield savings accounts, things of that nature where I can stockpile $500,000. We're going to break down exactly what it is going to take to retire at 50 to have an annual salary that is going to cover the bills. Now, second thing you really have to think about and remember is how long are you expected to live, guys? If you're starting with early retirement at 50 instead of waiting till 62 or 65, the average longevity or lifespan of a United States citizen is 78.6%, 78.6 years that you need to really fund. So if you think about that, if you retire at 50, from 50 to 29 years later, you have to have enough income on an annual basis to go ahead and support your lifestyle. Because if you think about it as well, if you do not have a job, that means you do not have a steady income or regular income, which means just living off the retirement accounts. Again, they're going to have to cover the expenses, but when it comes to new expenditures, when you're looking at loans, a new vehicle, things of that nature, because you have no income and no ability to repay those, a lot of places will not lend you any money. Now, this goes right into the retirement plan. Retiring at 50 is not easy. It does take a considerable amount of investing in a considerable plan. Now, right now, I am 3 years in. That is right, guys. I am 43 years old. I am looking to retire in the next 7. So what does that mean for me to actually have the ability to do that, to retire at the age of 50? Number one, that means saving a lot of money. I am going to have to stockpile a ton of money. In conjunction with that, or in correlation with that, I am also going to have to eliminate debt, guys. When I'm going into retiring at 50 years old, if I get to retire at 50 years old, it is going to be zero debt. That is really, in my opinion, the only way you can really do this. If you go into debt having a mortgage, or if you go into retirement having a mortgage, having auto loan payments, having boat payments, things of that nature, it is going to just make and deplete your cash that much faster because, again, you don't have that monthly income. So one of the fundamentals, or one of the things that I really think is Dave Ramsey. He talks about a goose and he talks about the golden egg. When you look at the goose can be your retirement, it can be your savings, it can be your nest egg, essentially, that you've been saving is the actual goose. So again, kind of running numbers here. If I have a goose, so if I have, let's say, $1 million in a high yield savings account through M1, which I have an affiliate link below, I can get 5% on my high yield savings account. That means on the $1 million I have there, I can draw $50,000 a year, which is going to be the supplement at age 50 for my income if I have $1 million in that account. Now, with that being said, taking $50,000 a year, as long as everything stays the same at that 5% return, that means I can draw, again, $50,000 a year without touching the goose. I am taking the eggs of the $50,000. Again, it's kind of a funny way to think about it, but I am not touching the original investment. I am leaving that in there. And if I don't need the full $50,000, I can even take less, meaning that $1 million that we have in there is going to yield me a higher return at that 5%, which means, again, I could be growing my investment during retirement and still taking $50,000 a year out with money in the bank, which again is a good way to do it. Now, next section we get into, guys, is maxing out the retirement accounts. Now, we are doing this, both the 401ks are maxed maxed out for myself and my wife. So we are saving a ton of money in the 401ks. But with that being said, right this year it is capped at 22,500 is the cap for 2023. But again, with that being said, the retirement accounts I do not want to touch. That is the reason why, again, the high yield savings, the CDs, the investment accounts, things of that nature is really the focus of where I'm putting a lot of the money to build up the nest egg to really fatten up that goose. That way, when I do have to take money out at age 50, when I am retired, I will have plenty of income without actually touching the goose itself, which again, with retirement accounts specifically, you have to be 59 and a half, or there is a penalty to draw money out of those retirement accounts. So fundamentally thinking of using those retirement accounts to retire at 50 to draw money out of my 401k or my IRAs, they are going to penalize me, which I do not want to do. Once I hit 59 and a half, once I get to the point of supplementing Social Security at 62, it'll be a much easier, and again, not touching that goose as we see it in its entirety. So the question comes down to, how are you going to finance the first 10 years? Now, this again is something that I've really put a lot of thought and consideration. I would like to get $1.5 million in a 5% return, which would be incredible. Even if it is a little bit higher than a 5%, let's say S&P 500 that yields, 8 to 10% would be phenomenal. Again, because going into this at age 50, I want to have zero debt. I want the home to be paid for. That way I have equity in there. Even if by chance I open up, let's say, a home equity line of credit, just kind of as a buffer, just in case, as an emergency plan. I know a lot of people don't do it because you don't want to get back in debt. But ultimately, if there is a pitfall, if there is something off that comes up that does require a significant investment, I will have the ability to cover it while I still do have income. A couple other things to remember, guys. Number one, family history. It is huge. If you have a family history of medical conditions, things of that nature, chronic illnesses, this could really put a huge wrench in the plan and damper exactly what you can get and how you're going to live your life going into retirement at 50. And also the income strategy. A lot of people do bonds, IRAs, they do CDs. I do have a considerable amount in 401ks and Roth 401ks specifically. So essentially my plan was, when I was younger, I put a lot of money into Roth 401ks because I was in a much lower tax bracket at that time. As I continue to increase, got promotions through the institution that I'm with right now, getting a significantly higher income at this point, I have switched the Roth 401k contributions into traditional 401k contributions. I know there is going to be taxes that is coming down the road when I start drawing money out of there, but the tax advantage that I'm seeing right now by putting essentially $45,000 into 401ks, the growth factor in there for both me and my wife, and lowering our income by that 45K is absolutely super beneficial right now because we are in a high income bracket. In addition, we cannot contribute to IRAs again because of that high income bracket. So guys, take a minute, think about your own retirement. What is your number? What is your age? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Again, 50 sounds absolutely amazing. That would give me, years to spend with my children, with my family, time to travel if the numbers align up, and you really have to make sure that they do. You don't want to retire at 50, 53, 55, you're right back to work, or getting to retire at 62, 65, 67, regardless of what age it is. What is your number and what are you looking to retire? All right, guys, so that'll do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and as always, thank you guys for watching.